Hello, I'm Mr. Roche. I am the chemistry teacher for your student this semester at Leesville Road High School. And this is just a little bit about me. I went to the University of North Carolina. I got degrees in English and chemistry. I then started research in the Research Triangle Park. After a few years of that, I went to Ohio State to get a master's in organic chemistry. I then returned to North Carolina to do very much the same work that I was doing before, which was basically focused on drug addiction and how to prevent drug addiction. In 2015, I returned to school to get a master's in science education at NC State, which I've completed. And that's just a little bit about what I've done. The whole point of this class, if you want to be successful, will be to be kind and respectful to each other, to me, to especially each other would be great. That's all I really ask. Just come in with kindness, come in with respect, and we'll all get along great. The daily work, quizzes, labs, daily work will be 40% of your grade if you're taking honors. It'll be half of your grade if you're taking academic. The assessments will be 60% of your grade if you are doing honors and 50%. So 50-50 if you're academic, 40-60 if you're honors. Supplies, a notebook would be good. Calculator with the log function is also helpful. There will be ample time to complete assignments in this class. How do I know that? Because I asked students, and as you can see here, almost 92% agree or strongly agree that there's ample time to complete assignments in class. I was heavily involved in the Grading for Equity initiative here at Leesville High School. I led discussion groups about it. The point of this book was, do low grades truly provide motivation to improve? And maybe if you give students a little more hope that they'd be more apt to come along and for the journey of the class. And should learning allow space for mistakes? And that's absolutely something I believe. As a chemist and a scientist, we certainly know that we learn from our mistakes and what doesn't work. Um, Here are some examples of students. This top grade is their final exam grade. Here's a student that chemistry was not intuitive for, but from practicing, from doing the daily work, was able to get a very good final exam score. Here's what grading for equity is supposed to help. This student clearly understood the material, was not great about turning things in, and to give this student zeros and penalize and penalize and penalize would not reflect what the student actually knew. As long as you take the tests, then I am willing to exempt things. Now, here's the problem with this process. When students find out, oh, I don't get zeros, if you have a student who needs fear, this is not going to be the class for them, because as you can see, here are the final exam scores of students who were not practicing all year long. And some of them tried to do a little bit at the end here. But if you're not practicing, if you're not doing the work, your grade will reflect that. And as a result of all that, you can see here when I asked students that my grade reflected the effort I put in, very much uh, strongly agree or agree that that's the case. So if you're seeing these are red flags. Understand, not everyone is like this student who can understand things without doing daily work. Most people need this daily work and practice to understand the topic. So this is not an invitation for students to not do daily work. Um, so the goal of this course is really to spark a love of science. I hope your students will come home and say that they enjoyed the class, that they had a good time, that they learned something. There are YouTube videos available for all lessons. So if a student is sick or for some reason cannot come to school, there is a lesson available on Google Classroom that will show them basically what I said that day if they want to learn it or see it again before a test or whatever. So anything I say in class is available as a YouTube video. So that should be viewable from any device that the student might have. And I follow the advice that a scientist should embrace experimentation. Along those lines, this is a picture from Kitty Hawk. And I show the students this because here is the rock where the plane was trying uh, its first flight attempt from. And these rocks here are actually markers of what was not considered the first flight. The first flight by the world was considered this marker here at that tree line. But so these markers end up showing you that things don't always work out and you have to learn from mistakes. And these scientists at Kitty Hawk had to change what they were doing with each of these attempts to go further and further and further. And that is what I tell students needs to happen in chemistry is you need to learn from your mistakes. You need to make those mistakes and then say, oh, I do it that way. That's not the way to do it. I should be doing it this way and I should be doing it that way. And you will learn more and more and get to the end. Again, as a scientist, I learned mistakes happen. So at the end of the day, is this a class for your student if your student needs fear and zeros to be motivated? No, I am not that teacher. As you can see, I am very much trying to reach out to students who feel intimidated by the topic. I want students to feel comfortable in the classroom. I am not a yeller. I am not a screamer. I am not someone who's going to try to scare your students straight. In my experience, having students comfortable in class allows them to feel comfortable taking risks, allows them to feel comfortable making mistakes and asking questions. All right, so I have textbooks, but I've asked students in the past, as you can see, most believe you do not need a textbook. However, do not believe I do not have them. I do have them. If a student would feel comfortable having a textbook to bring home, that is not a problem. We have a whole closet full of them. Calculator is needed to succeed in this class. Again, I have a class set, but if in my experience, students do better when they're not borrowing one every time because they're used to it. So please know a small investment in a calculator with a log function might help your students succeed in this class. And at the end of the day, practice is necessary because this is a very strongly math-based class. And there are sometimes students who struggle with math. They could very well struggle in this class. If they've struggled with math, I will try to provide them opportunities to learn and ask me questions. But at the end of the day, this will be a very math heavy class and the application of math concepts. So when I've asked students in those past um, surveys to give advice to future students, as you can see, I made this sort of word thing. The bigger the word, the more often it came up. If they would just pay attention, and my wife was joking that I should just have a nanny cam that you could all log in and see what it is your student does during class. The students who pay attention, who actually take notes, a dying skill, and who do the work on a daily basis tend to do very well in this class. So please know, please encourage your student to pay attention. Last thing, this is my full name, and I learned back when the internet was just a blinking dot that if you rearrange the letters, it's an anagram for chemical hero. So I try to do that for your students every day.